You'll send them the what do you call it, right? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to send a link. Okay, now we're going to hear it straightly from here. Okay, Rabbi Engel, what could you see on the screen? You see yourself or you see us?
I see you. I don't see me.
Okay. All right, so it's once again a great honor. It's supposed to welcome Rabbi Engel back to the ulmad platform. I'm sure he's been busy since the last time we were here. Hopefully, maybe he's changed his philosophy from the last time where he asked us to reduce the prizes for kids. We also didn't know who was going to bench by Sudasa Ishel Livyasan. Right? Remember that one? David Amel says, I'll do it. You also came up with some Haggadah. You said it was the best Haggadah Shel Pesach you ever read. Forget the name. I know it's not the season, but it is the season. We also talked about the Shvatim. Hope you look well. That farm is very nice. That's what the new Lakewood looks like. Is that the sixth town in Lakewood?
Yeah.
Where is that?
Okay.
All right, so whenever you're ready, it's sponsored by the Krieger family. The Kriegers have had a long association with the Toronto Cheder and with Rabbi Engel. And now their youngest son, Yehuda, is bar mitzvah this week. So he's very much, maybe he couldn't
Actually,
make it
today.
tonight. Today was his bar mitzvah.
He made a scene this morning.
Okay, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Can you hear me? You can hear me okay, Kiva?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Yashikach for this big COVID having me on. And big Yashikach to Akiva for everything he does to bring you all these wonderful Zooms. And he should be benched. I don't know if you know, but recently he had a big birthday and he's going stronger than ever, Baruch Hashem. I was thinking about the sponsors for tonight, Rabbi Moshe Krieger and his family, and again, the long association that he has with the Cheder. And I was thinking that the Bar Mitzvah boy Yehuda, wonderful boy, so his father's name is Moshe and his name is Yehuda. What's the shaykhs to Moshe and Yehuda? What do they have in common? So you can say many things. They're both leaders. But I'm thinking about it. Moshe Rabbeinu, besides everything that he did, he was known to be a big enough. So if you remember in Parsha Shmini, it says, "V'asira chatosh dorish Moshe v'hinei saraf, the sira shchedesh, it was burnt. Vayiksay ba'alozav v'yisom b'nei Aaron v'yisom lemor." Whole thing. Why don't you eat the korban chatas? Now, although Elazar knew what to answer, he didn't answer. I'll cover for his father. So Aaron spoke up and said, "It's a sira shchedesh, the shal, the doros." So the pasuk says, "Vayishma Moshe, vayita be'enav." It was good in his eyes. So Rashi says, "Haydav boish." He admitted. He said he wasn't embarrassed to say, "Yeah, Hashem told me this and I forgot." So if you look at the Targum Yonasan, he says that Moshe Rabbeinu was not content just to say to Aaron, "Yeah, you're right. I was wrong." He got up in the Machane Yisrael, and Moshe was 10 amos tall. So he's 20 feet tall. He was a presence. He got up and he took his megaphone and he made an announcement in front of the whole class. So he said, "You should know that I passed it wrong. My brother was right and I was wrong." And he made sure that everybody knew it. And because of that, he was zeicher to great brachas from Hashem. Now, where do we find that Yehuda did the same thing? When Yehuda unknowingly married Tamar, and then came the great moment when Tamar said, "Hakina," Yehuda was in a big quandary. What should he do? He realized that he was the very person that he said about Tamar Hitzil v'Sisar because she was Mizana, he was the one. So should he be quiet or should he not? Most of us would have just been quiet. No one's going to find out. Let her be burnt, and that's that. But Yehuda made a great statement at that moment. He said, "I'd rather be embarrassed in this lowly world than have to face my fathers in Elam Haba." And he made a decision. He said, "So both Yehuda and Moshe had that gvura in them, that when they made a mistake, they were able to get up and they were able to say what was really the emes. And because of that, they're both zeicha to become kings, because that's a king. And Yehuda especially passed that down to his Einer called David. You all know when David, I always would tell the boys in the cheder, are you going to be like Shaul, you can be like David. When they would do something wrong, I would say to them, I'll teach them to say Chatasi Lashem. Because we know when Shaul sinned by Amalek, Shmuel came to him and he said, so he said, "No, Shmuel, Hakimaisi is Dvar Hashem." So Shmuel tried to get Shaul to do tshuva, and he said, hoping that Shaul will say Chatasi Lashem. So, oh, that Hashchom Ala'am Ameitav Atzayin L'Manzveach Hashem. Yeah, that wasn't my fault. And then Shmuel says, "Really? You think Hashem wants your kabbanis when you disobey him?" So he says, "Yeah, I was afraid of the people. I was afraid of Doeg Adomi." It took him 4 shots until he said Chatasi. But you notice he didn't say Chatasi Lashem. He said Chatasi. In other words, okay, Shmuel, fine. Like it's a forced apology that we make a kid apologize. Say, "I'm sorry." Okay, I'm sorry. But really, it wasn't sorry. Really, he didn't agree with Shmuel. When David HaMelech said right away, when Nassim came to him and he gave him a whole story, he said, there was a rich man, there was a poor man. The rich man needed a behemoth for his guest. So he took the poor man's carbon and he shechted it and he gave it to him. What's the din? So David said, he's chayiv mitzvah de shemayim, and he's chayiv dalad for the sheep that he stole and he shechted. Dalad v'hei is chayiv dalad. So Nassim looked at David and said, Ata ha'ish, you're the man of my Moshe. You just pronounced Misa on yourself. So David HaMelech said, Chatasi Lashem. Right away. Without saying a word, he said, Chatasi Lashem. And that was a legacy that Yehuda passed on to David. The Krieger's name, Krieger means fighter. And both, I say Moshe, he stands up for what's the emes. He has a bikush emes, and he wants what's right. And the same thing with his son Yehuda, wonderful boy. He has a bikush emes. So they get a big mazel tov, and Yehuda should grow up to be a Talmid Chacham in Yerei Shamayim. Before we get into the parsha, I wanted just to share a kind of vart that I just found today, and you'll tell me what you think. The Gemara says that you're not allowed to, on Lol Shabbos or on Shabbos, Layukwila or on there. You're not allowed to learn by the light of a candlestick, Shema Yatek, because maybe you're gonna turn the candlestick so it should burn better, and you'll be over on lighting a fire on Shabbos. So the Gemara asks, a brayse that says, "Shimon Galil Eimer Tineiker Shel Beis Rabban, Misadrim Pashas Rekarim L'Araner." You see, they're allowed to. So the Gemara gives 2 truths. By saying a Rashi Pashi, I said, no, it doesn't mean you're allowed to learn the whole sugya. You can learn the beginning of each sugya as like a chazor. So we're not afraid they're gonna turn Shemayata because they're only chazri. They're not learning new things. By saying shiny tinaikas hail ve'emas rabba alei and le'asi latzliye. Since the children are learning with their Rebbe and they have an aimer for their Rebbe, they wouldn't dare reach out and try to move the candlestick. If Nissim Gaon on the side of the Gemara brings down a Yerushalmi, that Yerushalmi says another teretz. We know that there's an expression, Chazal say, Kitinek haberech mi beis hasefer. The kids, even back then, the kids ran away from yeshiva. So this going says there's no way that the kids are gonna put out the fire. Why? I mean, not put out fire. No way, shemayata. The Rebbe doesn't want the fire to go out, but the kids are happy if the fire goes out because then they get to play. And if this going says this is a good teretz. So I was thinking, what's the machlekes between the Bavli and Yerushalmi? The old school of Rabbeim, and even now today, many Rabbeim employ this. They say in order for a child to be matzliach in learning in a classroom, he needs to have aim for his Rebbe. His Rebbe needs to be ma'ayim. So when you come into class the first day, Rebbe's saying, "Don't eyeball me, boy. Don't look at me." And there's an old teaching adage that you don't smile until Hanukkah, because you want to instill the aim of your Rebbe. The Rebbe should have a feeling that the Talmid have aim for him. They have fear for him. So we're going to frighten them in order to get them to shtaltzu, and then they're going to have a good year. The new way, and the way that I feel is the right way, is no, you're not I am the kid. You don't get the kid to learn Meira, because as soon as the Rebbe's gone, the kid turns his back. You get the kid to learn Me'ava. So the Yerushalmi didn't want to say like the Bavli because we don't want to employ this aimer for a Rebbe. Of course, you have to respect your Rebbe, but to be matzlich and learning because you have aimer for your Rebbe, that's not something we want. We're talking about kids here. We're not talking about adults. We're not talking about bachur. We're talking about kids. So therefore, the Yerushalmi says, no, let's try to understand this child's teva. The teva of a child is he's not going to want to turn the candlestick to get more light, because the teva of a child is he wants to go play, so he'll be happy when it goes out. So it could be that's the machlekes between the Bavli and Yerushalmi. I welcome your comments at the end, but that's what I think is the machlekes.
Sounds like
You know,
the
this week's
Litvish approach has morphed into the Hasidic
what's that?
I said the Litvish approach has morphed into the Hasidic approach.
Yes, yeah, agreed. Although, you know, I don't want to be mitzi laz on the Chassidish way, but you know, I became a Rebbe in 1987, and I asked my Manal, "What's your policy on hitting?" And he said, "Don't you dare." I was in 1987. The Chassidish Meisters, the Varma Meisters, you know, the Varma Rabbeim, even today they hit their kids. And again, I'm not going to go into the whole thing now. Should you hit kids? But unless a person's a malach, that he can control his emotions, and he can hit a kid without being angry, okay. But most of us who are teaching in a classroom, if any of you have ever gone to a classroom and taught for a few hours, kids have a way of getting under your skin, especially when they're trying to do things to get you angry. If the Rebbe's teaching and he feels he has to patch a Talmud, for that Rebbe to say, no, I wasn't angry, it's we're not malachim. But even though my name is Engel, which means malach, no, I don't think we are that madrig. I don't think we can do it, and therefore I don't think. Again, that's just to highlight the difference between the Hasidim and Litvish. Okay, it's getting late. I didn't realize we're going to be so long on the stage. I just want to say a couple things. First of all, with Dasan and Aviram, good guys or bad guys. You know, we learn about Dasan and Aviram, and our feeling is that they were the bad guys. They were the troublemakers. They're the ones that left over the mun. They're the ones that always were complaining. They got swallowed up by the ground with kairach, right? So were they good guys or bad guys? If they were so bad, the famous kasha is, why were they kept alive by Makas Chayshech? The Medrash brings down, Rabbi Bechai brings down the Medrash that says, Vachavushim olu b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. It's either 1/5, 1/50th, or 1/500th left Mitzrayim. So if you say it's 1/500th, that means millions of Yidden died in Mitzrayim. The Rishayim died by Chayshech. So why didn't Dasan and Aviram die? That's the question. Another question is, you look at Parshas Akev, it starts telling you all about the things that happened by the Yam Suf, and Vasha also Lecham Bamidbar Abaycha Makam Hazeh between Shishi and Shvi. Vasha also Ladosav Lavim Bnei Eliyav Ben Reuven Asher Potzar Zespir Vativ Leisav Espatem. And the kasha is, where Shiva Motul Weinberg Zatzal asked, why doesn't it say Kairach? Every other time in the Torah it mentions Dasan Aviram about what happened with Kairach, it says Ba'adas Kairach. So why over here in Akav does it not say Kairach? And Shiva answered, he said over Shem Pshach, but I couldn't find where Pshach says it. He said that this whole parsha in Akav is telling us what happened when you have a Chem Samam. And therefore, it doesn't mention Korach, because Korach did not have a Chem Samam, because Korach was the one that found Yosef's treasure in Mitzrayim. He was very rich. But Dasan Aviram, they ultimately died because they had a Chem Samam. So Be'emerson, we want to say Dasan Aviram were tzaddikim. If you look in Parsha Shmois, the first time we meet Dasan Aviram, they came to complain to Moshe because they were the Shevet B'nai Yisrael. You know, there were three levels of Mitzrayim. There was the slave, there was a shaiter, and there was a sarmas. If the slaves didn't finish their quota, the sarmas would beat the shaiter. So Dasan Aviram were the shaiter b'nei Yisrael, and they got beaten many times. They took blows for their brothers because they didn't finish the quota of the bricks they had to make. So people who take blows for their brothers, they're tzaddikim. We know that a tribe in Klal Yisrael is called a Shevat or a Mata. Now, the word Shevat means stick, and the word Mata means stick. That's a very unusual name to call a tribe. Why is it a Shevat or a Mata? So Rashi says because they're the ones, these Shevet B'nai Yisrael, they're the ones that were appointed to be part of the Sanhedrin, part of the Nesiim, because they took blows for their brothers. So to remember that, we call the Shevet or Mata, because they're the ones that formed the tribes of Klal Yisrael by taking blows for their brothers. So Dasan Aviram were good guys. They had one problem. They didn't believe in Moshe Rabbeinu. They didn't believe in his Zavur. So the first time when Moshe Rabbeinu encounters them with the whole Maisa with the Mitzri, and he kills the Mitzri, next day he comes down, Dasan Aviram are arguing, and they say to him, Halageni Ata Emer Kasharakta Esa Mitzri. They went ahead and snitched on Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu had to run away. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, now I know why Klal Yisrael has a Shiva Mitzrayim, because they're Dalturin among them, they're snitchers among them. And Moshe Rabbeinu suffered untold misery because of Dasan Aviram. He ran away from Parai. You know that he went to Cush for 40 years, was the king there. And then he went to Yisrael, and Yisrael saw a fugitive of justice from Mitzrayim. He put him in prison for 10 years, only because Sipora kept him alive that he lived. Then he ended up marrying Sipora, and then the Malach almost killed him on the way back because he was in Strashno with the bris milah of his son. Anyway, Hashem tells him, Lech shuv Mitzrayim ki mesu kol anashim mevakshem esnafshecha. The people who want to kill you, they're dead. So around the Dom Daf Zayin on Bay says, okay, this is Dasan Aviram, that we know that Abba Chashuvim Kemes. 4 people are considered dead. Someone who's with Seva, someone who's blind, and someone who's poor. So the Ran goes through systematically. It couldn't be the Dasan Aviram who had Saras, because it says in the Pasuk that they died b'kerev Kol Yisrael, and if they had Saras, they would have been sent down to the 3 machras. It can't be, says, that they were blind, because it says in Kairach, Ha'eni ha'noshim ha'hem t'naker lo'inal. So they had even if you blind us, we're not coming up to Moshe, so they could see. He says it can't be they didn't have any sons, because why would that ruin their influence in the court if they didn't have children? It must be Zakturan that they were poor. So they lost their influence in the courts. So all the time that they were there, they were poor. And the way the Yidden got rich, we know that the Yidden took out, somebody asked me last week, why does it say the Yidden didn't have time to bake their matzah? They had the whole night. They left Mitzrayim in the morning. They left at noontime. So they had a whole night to bake matzahs. What's the big deal? So I was thinking about it. The Medrash says that each Yid had 90 donkeys that they took out of Mitzrayim, loaded with gold and silver, and all the begodim that the Mitzrayim gave them. Remember the last time you went on a trip to New York, you loaded your minivan, and you loaded one van, it took you a couple hours. he had to load 90 donkeys. It must have taken them all night. They didn't have time. So Dasan Aviram did not know about these treasures of the Mitzrayim because it says in the pasuk Dabrin no ba'oznei am. So the Medrash said, "What's Dabrin no ba'oznei am?" He said, "We're going to be misakin the chait of the dalturn of the snitchers." So I'm telling you a side Moshe Rabbeinu told the people a year before you leave Mitzrayim, don't tell Dasan Aviram. So everybody knew about this besides Dasan Aviram. When Dasan Aviram saw that the Yidden will leave Mitzrayim, they said, "No, we can't go. Moshe Rabbeinu is Navi Sheker." So this week's parsha says, "Va'omar para levnei Yisrael, nevuchim heim ba'aretz." So Rashi says, "Omar para levnei Yisrael, al b'nei Yisrael." But the Targum Yedison says, "Va'omar para levnei Yisrael," and Pari said to Dasan Aviram, who stayed behind in Mitzrayim, "Let's go after the Yidden. They're lost in the desert." So Pare rode together with Dasan Aviram to go after the Yidden. So the question is, we find that Dasan Aviram made it back, and they were there by the Mon. So how did they get across if the Mitzrayim drowned? So the Shabbos Shalmi asked the Kasha, and he says, we say in Ezras, Kol b'chareim harakta, uv'chocha yisol ga'alta, v'yamsov lahem pakata, v'zedim tibata v'yididim avarta. So the kasha is, why does it say, it says, v'chocha yisol ga'alta, v'yamsov lahem pakata, it should say, v'yididim havarta, and then v'zedim tibata. Why does it switch it around? So he says, because the Yamsuf Lambakata, the Yidden got saved in the Yamsuf. V'zeidim tibat in the Mitzrayim Jam, v'yididim havarta, yididim Lashon Rabbah, minimum 2, that's Dasan Aviram, the Yididei Hashem, who were zeichet to their own Kriyas Yamsuf. But because they came late, they missed out on the Bizas Hayom, so they remained poor. So when Korach came to them and said, "Come join my Machlekes of Moshe, I'll make you rich," they had that Chemes HaMamon, and that's how they ultimately died. It's late. I just want to finish off with a story. We say Vayiminu B'Hashem of Moshe Avdai. We all heard of Larry King. All of a shalom. Larry King was a big book on the radio, on TV. Larry King was a Yid. So one time he came to Eretz Yisrael, and somehow he met Reb Noach Weinberg. And Reb Noach Weinberg asked him, "Larry, do you believe in Hashem?" And he says, "No, I don't." He says, "Why not?" He says, "When I was a kid, the Yankees were playing the Dodgers in the World Series. I was a huge Brooklyn Dodgers fan. And I prayed to God and I said, please, I want the Dodgers to win." And guess what? The Dodgers lost. So God didn't listen to me. I don't believe in God. So Noach Weinberg said to him, "No, Larry, you got it all wrong. You see, I was a bigger Yankee fan than you were a Dodger fan. I prayed to God that the Yankees would win, and the Yankees won." I got a lot more to say, but my time is up. I want to wish everybody a good Shabbos and Hatzlacha, and looking forward to seeing you in person and to hearing from you. Yashikaya.
Shukaya.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Rabbi
Good Shabbos,
Engel.
good Shabbos.
Always a pleasure to see you in real life and even virtual. You look great.
Yeah, it's a good angle.
Thank you.
Good, right? Really, it's nice to see you. I think it's your brother's birthday, right? Dahlia's birthday, am I right?
Very good, very good. Boy, Kiva, you're unbelievable.
He does research before he comes online.
Does anybody
He's like
here
Larry
know, anybody know a guy in town named Yehuda Elzas? Yehuda Elzas?
Yeah, sure.
You know, he lives on Coldstream.
Sure.
You know who he is.
Yeah.
He just had his 75th birthday. Okay, he turned 75. So I called him up, wish him mazel tov that he's 75. So how do I know him? Because he used to be a boarder of my house.
Right.
We lived up north on Stone Dean, and then we moved down south. So I still remember he moved into our house. I said to when I called him up, I said, "Why is 75 so significant?" He moved into our house the day of my grandmother's 75th birthday party. He was shocked that I remembered. And so I just want to tell you, 2 more minutes. If you learn Sefer Yirmiyah and Sefer Malachim, they both end the same way. Yechanya Melech Yehuda gets freed from jail after 37 years in prison. And Evil Bereidach, Nebuchadnezzar's son, takes him out and gives him a whole throne, and he gives him food. And both Sefer Yirmiyah and Sefer Malachim end the same way. I was thinking to myself, who cares? Like, very nice. Okay. Very nice. So Yehuda Moshe was in Russia. He stays 37 years in jail. And he comes out, and Evil Bereidach gives him food. How does that end the Sefer Yirmiyah and Sefer Malachim the same way? What's the shot? So if you look at the Medrash in Parshas, I think it's Tazria or Mitzayra, it talks about, Zivus, about being a Zav or a Zav. Basically, Chaim Melchidah was in Russia. He went to jail for 37 years, and we lay in the Megillah, Asher Aglav Yerushalayim, Magillah Asher Hagosayim, Yechanim Melchidah. He went to jail, he was there for 37 years. He did tshuva in jail. Now, the Chachamim realized that if they don't do something, the Malchus Beis Dov is gonna fall apart because he doesn't have any children. Hashem cursed him and say for Yirmiyah that he's not gonna have any children. He's gonna die Ariri. So what happened? So he did tshuva, and they bribed the queen to tell the king to allow his wife to come into the jail. Now, the Nebuchadnezzar had a rule: you weren't allowed to open the door of the jail ever for freedom. So they had to lower his wife. The Gemara says, from the roof, and there was no room in the jail. It was a nay. She became embarrassed twice. She had two sons, Asir and Shaltiel. And Shaltiel's son Zerubbabel became the king of the Yidden during the Ba'ashem. So the Navi is telling us in both places the koach of tshuva, how a person can do tshuva, can be zeichet to things. But the Gemara says the first time that she was lowered into the jail, she said to her husband, now he hasn't seen a human being in years. Imagine you've been in jail for 20 years and you haven't seen a human soul, and then your wife gets lowered into the jail. Imagine what you would feel like, your emotions and what you would do. She says, I just saw some dam. So Yechanya, who was a Russian, the tshuva jail, said, out you go. And they took her back out. She waited till she became Tahira and came back. So this Yehuda Elzas told me that his parents lived in Holland during the Holocaust, and a guy who was a tzaddik, one of the Chassidim Umas Olam, he hid them, and they were in the attic for 2.5 years. When they went into the attic, his wife was Tmeya. So for 2.5 years, he didn't touch his wife for 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years, he was alone with his wife in an attic, and because she was Tmeya, he stayed away from her. And they were zeichet to, I think, 5 or 6 children. One of them was Mr. Shochet, who was married to Emmanuel Shochet, who was a Rav in Kiltz many years ago. You remember? But you talk about gvura. You talk about being a keeper.
I just want to explain to Emmanuel Shochet's wife is an Elsa.
That's unbelievable.
Yetta Shochet, and Yetta Shochet's her brother was the one that he was at the house, right? He works at Benjamin's. That Elzas,
Yeah.
he just lost his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, everybody, sorry. Good to see everybody. I wish you a good shot.
Rabbi Engel, stay in touch.
Be well.
I know you gave up sports, but you probably remember what a standing ovation is, so you certainly deserve it for today.
No Super Bowl.
Baruch Hashem. Okay. Zag everybody. Take care. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
No.
Does he has gigs?
Yeah.
Good for him. You have to get the phone. He's gonna change.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm going to go to mine. Rabbi Taub is on next week, and then Rabbi Rudner the week after.
What parsha is that?
He put out an article this week. It's a bombshell. Which town?
What he said.
Believe it or not, I went to a new cardio house. I went to Moshe this week. Just for a check.
Yeah.
And as I'm waiting, he comes into the thing. As I'm waiting for him, he gives me an article from Moshe.
This week's.
And he writes, yeah.
He's great.
He researches these a lot.
Yeah.
He basically said it's also to say Parsha Shemon, Shnaimik, Bek-Tarek, on the third day of the year.
Really? We got what to take him up. So
on the third day of
he breaks it down to find out where everything is from.
He explained the whole meaning is bogus, super bogus. And
So what am I going to do to the 80 emails that I get the Parsha Saman from? That's illegal.
So
The
that's
forwarding to somebody else.